Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Just checking. Great. So welcome to our talk. We're going to talk about embracing change, introducing change, leading through change, and how it's easier to do it together than empathy.
Most of the time. So, yeah, thanks everybody. I'm Claire. I'm the VP of Tech and Product at Moo, where I've been there just over 5 years. I've had a variety of different roles. Led a wonderful agile coaching team there as my first role, some of whom are in the audience. And yeah, moved on to do various other engineering and product related things, some of which with Marta.
Thank you. We've been working together for 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, which feels really short and really long at the same time. Back at that time, I was a CTO at and then since then I've been in many different jobs actually. I'm like Claire, I moved on quite a lot.
Left me to deal with it.
VP of engineering at Bamboo. Before that I've been CTO at a startup accelerator, CTO at 𝒍𝒊𝒌𝒆, and more before that. So yeah, let's talk about the combined experiences of dealing with change, weathering the storm, surviving the difficult environment which you're being put at as you are facing technology and all the other things to deal with every day. So how have we learned to weather the storm or embrace the change? A little bit of like admission from my side. I am not very comfortable with change. I come from engineering background. I come from the world of spreadsheets and processes and really like structured world of trying to predict the future. When I discovered the Gantt chart, I loved it. It's like, oh my God, I can tell when I'm going to deliver something, how I'm going to deliver it. There's a date at the end of it, color-coded. And then as you go more senior and senior, you realize that the world around you is not easily controlled by spreadsheet. And I did find, like I struggled a lot with embracing this, understanding my role in all of this, and understanding that I have to be more flexible, rather than trying to fit in the complexity of real world into an agile framework. I have to find a way to be more flexible and try to find a way to work with more agility.
Well, yeah, and when I joined Moo, I was like, who is this person that thinks they can predict the future and manage everything via a spreadsheet? So I had to adapt as well. I mean, I think that's been one of our biggest learnings. There are different types of personalities and different ways that people think. I mean, you combine those experiences together and combine the good things of what each of you bring to a role and your different perspectives on the world. Doubling up and teaming together is the best way to weather the storm and get through a change.
It was a pretty good spreadsheet, though. You have 2 microphones now, so this is all very exciting. Change can come in many forms. So I still like to structure my world a little bit, and I did think a lot about what kind of change we dealt with in the past, and thinking about this audience here, like what kind of change you may be facing as you're thinking about your organizations and how you can help those organizations move forward. It's not as simple just to say anything can happen at any point in time. You want to have a little bit of indication of what type of change you're dealing with. And for us, the 3 kind of changes that we're causing a little bit of swirl, that we'll talk a little bit more about later on. With team changes, your team may change for different reasons. For good reasons, somebody won a lottery ticket and they no longer have to work. Lovely time. For less good reasons, maybe an important leader in the organization moved on and suddenly you feel like you don't have any direction. You have to deal with these changes on and on. And as you're probably all aware, every little change in your team, somebody joining, somebody leaving, triggers a whole process of a team adapting to this. So team changes are very, very important, and they may trigger quite a lot of work for you to deal with those going forward. Your business needs may change. We'll talk about examples later, but what your business is trying to achieve with the products that it's building may change quite a lot over years. If you're lucky, you're in a business that survived more than 2, 3, 5 years. And maybe you found your product to market fit, but as Dave was telling us earlier, maybe the product to market fit is no longer valid. Maybe you need to revisit what customers you're attracting. Maybe you need to revisit what kind of products you need to build for them. Change in business direction will trickle down to your technology and product delivery teams sooner or later. So you have to consider how you're going to react to that. And finally, technology. Technology world shifts around us all the time. Some of these shifts are very simple and easy to spot. Moving away from monoliths to microservices was a big one, moving to cloud computing. The world of third-party offerings, SaaS products that you can use, change a lot on how we think about building technology and architecture. Over the last couple of years, we talk a lot about AI, blockchain, cryptocurrency, you name it. There's a hype going on at any point in time. You have to think about how you're going to think about those changes and how they impact you and your team.
So change is constant. Like our world is constantly evolving, we can't control it, there's ambiguity in the environments that we have to contend with. So we're all going to have to face into this and figure out our way through it. For the rest of this talk, we're going to try and give you some tips, practical tips, to help you figure out what you can do and make sure you're ready.
But the biggest tip of them all is you can take your friend with you, right? If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like change is too much for you, doing it together with somebody else is absolutely very, very helpful.
Yeah, and we definitely got through our change better together.
Definitely. So tackling it together, what did it look for us? We did pick Bert and Ernie, and we really enjoyed picking Bert and Ernie as representation of us.
We had many variations here, by the way.
Please appreciate it. So tackling it together was for us about a couple of things, about realizing what strengths and weaknesses we are bringing to the table, right? I don't like change, but Claire is great with change. How can we build on that? But also, me coming from engineering world, understanding a little bit more technology, Claire having much more understanding of the business and how the business operates. Combining our skills together allowed us to tackle this change on many different directions, in many different ways. I know it sounds like a no-brainer, but consciously choosing to work together, not just on our day jobs, but actually thinking about how we can impact the organization around us, was a big aha moment for us. And the way we got to this aha moment, the way we got to the point where we said, this organization needs change and we will have to drive this change together, was also because we were talking together. We were working through a lot of problems together, and we started spotting patterns and realizing that what we're fighting on different sides is actually the same problem of needing to change, needing to move in different direction, and us realizing, having that self-awareness that we can be the change that this company needs, and we're going to have to push this change.
And we were going to have to change.
Yes, and we're going to have to change as well. I still have my spreadsheet, though.
So yeah, let's put this story into a little bit of context. So cast our minds back to pre-pandemic, maybe 2018, 2019. And there was a lot going on in the company. We were looking at various different bits and bobs going on. And it all felt like it was happening at the same time. So there was quite a lot of change in leadership. Our chief product officer recently left, the CTO recently left, the new chief operating officer joining. There's other leaders around the business recently joined, me included. We were scaling, we were growing, there was lots and lots of change going on all at the same time. In parallel, we were rethinking our business strategy. So where is this company even going? We were well known for being a print company, famous for our business cards, and we wanted to move into other products and target different customer bases. A whole bunch of stuff for our business strategy as well. And all that requires different technology, and as Moo grew and scaled, we were perhaps throwing people at the problem and scaled in a most sustainable way. So we had to deal with digital transformation as well, and contend with lots and lots of change across processes across the whole company. And every time one of these came in, it felt a bit like that. We were just getting battered around all over the place. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's experienced multiple bits of change at the same time. It can all feel a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I must say that period of time at Mo, probably one of the toughest, but most rewarding times of my career as well. Experiencing all of this change and seeing what this change does to our teams and to people around us was quite tough. And the feeling of not really knowing what to do and how to approach it was also something that I didn't enjoy as a very controlling and control freak leader. But we did combine our powers of Bert and Ernie, as we said earlier, and we realized that there are two kind of different directions that we have to start thinking about as we want to push through the change that we want to see across the organization. So I was sitting at the executive team level, presenting at the board and making sure that all these lovely people who are most senior members of our company actually understand what we do and why me and Claire are being so annoying with all of our questions about business strategy and where is this team going. And while they were trying to put me back into my technology box, I had to keep popping back up and saying, well, actually, technology is a big part of your business strategy, and we actually need to all talk about where this business is going together. So yeah, I spent a lot of time turning those spreadsheets into beautiful presentations. There's a lot of talk, a lot of simplifying really complex things, a lot of trying to get people to understand what we do and how we do it. Getting our board members to understand what is a Java monolith and why is it bad, or is it bad, was interesting challenge at the time. At the same time, Claire was working very close to our engineering and product teams, And yeah, your challenge there was very different.
Yeah, I had the other half of the problem. So whilst Marta was trying to get the buy-in from the board and the rest of the leadership team, I had to make sure that the internal teams, all of our delivery teams and product engineering teams, believed in what we were doing and understood why we needed to do it, because it was going to impact them as well. So we were both trying to inspire and lead slightly different groups, but there's huge overlap between these two things. You had to make sure that the messages that we were sharing were consistent, and we were inspiring people in the same direction. And it was hard, and getting the buy-in and the trust from the team to underpin all that change was not an easy task to do.
Yeah, and I would say any leader who tries to influence or impact change across organization, if you're not building on strong foundation of trust, if you're not able to make dots connect between the teams that are delivering the vision and teams that are making strategic decisions, it's going to be extremely hard uphill battle. Because at every point you're going to be challenged and questioned and pushed back as you're trying to move forward and as you're trying to build a better future.
Yeah, and I think one of the key bits that worked for us here was that no matter who asked any one of us a question, be it someone at board level, exec team, across any of the teams, they got the same answer, maybe in a Scottish or a Polish accent, but the same point come across, which just showed that we were coherent right from the top.
We definitely practice those talking points more than this presentation. So. So we want to give you some practical tools as well. I know we're sharing a little bit about what worked for us in this particular situation, but we do a lot of talks. So we do try to bring some of these things into a toolkit that anybody can use and you can take with you to your teams and hopefully apply with success. So the first one I want to talk about is the big aha moment and then follow up very, very hard work of building a technology strategy that is very much integrated or aligned with the business strategy. I know it sounds very vague and very high level, but we made it very, very real. We got super inspired by Simon Wardley's introduction to worldly mapping, especially the first chapter when he mentions the art of war. I was like, Claire, this is it. We're going to do this.
We've got our framework.
That was amazing. I was like, this is the framework we're going. Claire was like, maybe there are other ones that are less. I'm like, no, I'm not reading any more books. This is it. We're going. So we use that, and this is actual slide from one of many presentations we used to get buy-in and understanding of our tech teams and leadership team on how we want to think about tech strategy. And as you can see, it has all of those different aspects of strategy. We didn't just want to talk about the plan, what we're going to do, and even why we want to do it. We wanted to deeply understand the purpose of technology team, technology platform in this printing organization and this business, right? We wanted to really understand what is the climate and landscape that we are operating in. We spent a lot of time looking at competitors and looking at companies that maybe were not our competitors but could be our future competitors. We spent a lot of time trying to assess how good our technology stack really is and why. We built a beautiful heat map, I remember, of our entire code base, just to make sure that we understand what are our strengths and weaknesses across the team and the platform, what are we really playing with. And only with these things in place, we are able to define some principles of how we want to move forward. What are the boundaries we wouldn't cross? I remember not breaking our team was one of them. We wanted to make sure that everybody is still comfortable and happy working with us. And only with all of that in place, we were able to build a plan, which is the action plan of what we're actually going to deliver. So highly recommend doing this exercise, whether you use this model or any other model. Make sure that you are thinking beyond just the stories or epics or things that your team is going to be coding or delivering, but think about the bigger picture a little bit up front.
Especially for the technology strategy, and us articulating what we were trying to do in a cohesive framework. It was then easy for us to ask questions of the business strategy and then for us to link the two together. So it helped abstract some of the technical detail as well. So as you go through and make these changes, there's a lot of changes to teams and people as well. And as VP of Engineering, I had to try and explain to the various teams of what we were doing as well. And I was inspired by holacracy as an alternative to our traditional RACI model. Sometimes on a RACI chart can be a bit transactional. You're trying to make delineation between roles that just doesn't exist. We're inspired by this model to keep it a little bit more concise. And we went through with every team and every individual and talked through the roles and asked them to map out these commonly known as pads, just a really nice way to articulate to someone what their role is. So it's not a job description, it's just a few few bullets, a few sentences of what's your role about, why does it even exist. And it's a good way to differentiate between the role and the person as well, especially if you were expecting a bit of churn. So there's a good opportunity over here to call out all the accountabilities. So these are the things that you need to deliver. So a good way to recontract with people as we're doing this change. This is what's going to adapt in your role. And the bit that I like best in this model actually is the domains part. So when you articulate the domains, these are the decisions that this role has a power to make without decision-making rights and being able to execute. So in all the people that created and shared their paths, you can quite quickly see who needs to collaborate and who needs to interact with each other. And I think this was quite a nice way for us to start talking about the changes in people's roles and how they had to adapt to some of the changes that we're introducing.
Pro tip, if you're joining a new company, new role, and your role is not very well defined, if you show up to one-to-one with your boss with this in place, they love it. I can tell. Every boss I had after me loved it.
So, the last bit's a more touchy-feely bit. Marta's smiling at me because she's like, Claire, you need to do this bit. And she promised me that I wouldn't make you do a breathing exercise either. But yeah,
there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. There's still time. But yeah, as you're going through all of this, it's really important to think about you. As leaders, you've got to put your oxygen mask on first and make sure that you're able to keep yourself in check before you try and lead other people. Any leadership role is stressful when you're going through change, and there are many, many things that trigger you. And if you're not careful, the stress can deliberate you and if you face into it, you can treat it as an opportunity. So I haven't got any magical tips here on how to overcome it, but the key is to find something that works for you. And every single one of us is different. So what might work for me might not work for you. Personally, I need to find people to speak to. I need a mechanism to let it out. If I stay by myself and think through things in my head, I get into negative thinking loops and it takes me to a really bad place. So I find people such as Marta.
And I'm introverted, so...
Yeah, she loves listening to me rant at her. But that's my way for dealing with it. And I got into open water swimming, doing things in the community. So I'm a very practical and doing person, and that was just my way to let out all of that energy. For other people, it's meditation or yoga or Shakti Max or CBD oil. So many different methods, podcasts out there, but you've got to find something that works for you. So when you're feeling yourself being triggered by an event that's happening around you, you notice it. You've got something in your back pocket to know how you're going to react, and then there's a possibility then for that stressor, that trigger, to turn into an opportunity rather than letting it overcome you.
For some reason, I tried a lot of Scottish whiskies in 2018. Don't know why. This is really the end of the presentation. The last thing I wanted to highlight is look, I think after 2-3 months after we went through all of this, COVID happened. Everything went through the door. All the carefully planned change.
All the spreadsheets.
Slides, all the paths we wrote. All of this was turned around and gone in a matter of a couple of months because the world shifted around us again. And I'd like to say that I was a little bit more ready for that change, thanks to Claire and thanks to all the work we did together. To the point that since then I've been through a flurry of different changes, working with different teams and different organizations. I do think that the value of what we went through is undeniable, right? The journey that we went through together, the lessons we brought out of this journey, that's really the value of it. It's not the landing point, the end of the spreadsheet, of the Gantt chart. It's the journey that you take, the lessons that you learn, and how you react to the changes along the way.
And the people you take on the journey.
Thank you.